It was 6 a.m., and Elizabeth Hurley's alarm was already ringing loudly on the bedside table. She woke up with a jolt and quickly slammed the alarm shut. Summer of 1990 was creeping in slowly. She could already feel the difference in the temperature. It took Elizabeth a moment to remember where she was, even though she'd been on vacation for 2 weeks. Elizabeth was vacationing in Hawaii, a means to heal from the result of a nasty divorce between her and Ben. 4 years, wasted and tossed down the drain. Her escape to Hawaii came when she knew she'd lose her mind if she spent any other day dealing with the divorce lawyers in California. So she impulsively bought a ticket with no luggage or planning and made her way to Hawaii. So far, the journey had proved to be one of the smartest decisions she'd made in a long time. Elizabeth was finally letting go of the anger and self-doubt. She was finally healing. And she'd even picked up a nice new hobby: kayaking. On the first few days in Hawaii, Elizabeth had wondered how to get through the flood of emotions that were hitting her like a storm. She didn't believe in shrinks. Elizabeth knew she needed a way to heal and discover new and serene peace. This was when she discovered kayaking. Elizabeth quickly fell in love with the serene feeling of gliding through the clear waters on her kayak. And just like that, it became her daily ritual. Every morning she reserved the first 2 hours for kayaking, appreciating the stunning sunrises and the calming rhythm of the waves. This daily ritual became her form of meditation, providing her with a sense of tranquility and newfound purpose. This morning wasn't going to be any different. Elizabeth quickly slid down from the bed. She tied her hair to a messy bun and went straight for the bathroom, changing into her kayaking gear. She loved being the first to get to the ocean. It was almost as if the water was always waiting for her. Today she hurriedly went through her preparation steps. She couldn't wait to get to the water, which would be a perfect change from the warm weather. Being new to kayaking, Elizabeth could have been better, but there was no doubt that she was improving every day. She could now paddle for long minutes without the usual ache that made her almost give up on kayaking when she started. When she exited the hotel, she found that the sun was rising. It cast its golden rays over the horizon, bathing the water with golden bright light. Elizabeth stood by the beach for some minutes, savoring the insane scenery. This was why she'd chosen this particular hotel for her getaway. The seaside beauty was a marvel, sitting majestically across the sea. Elizabeth slowly ventured out into the ocean, paddling gently on her kayak. The sea was tranquil, lulling her into the deep feeling of security she knew all too well. It was almost as if the water had become her shrink, and they both communicated in a way nobody else would understand. But all Elizabeth knew was that her daily morning ritual played a significant role in keeping her sane. Elizabeth was initially scared of going alone into the ocean because of her fear of sharks. She blamed her fear of the aquatic predator on her addiction to reading stories of animal attacks, especially sharks. The locals had assured her that such events were uncommon, and encounters with sharks were typically from a distance. They explained that the only location where the sharks were commonly sighted was far from the shore. Due to their reassurance, Elizabeth had come to see the ocean as her safe place. She was entirely in Zen when she was in the ocean. When she had paddled a few times, Elizabeth let her paddle float by the side as she lay down on the kayak to stare at the rising sun and go through her feelings that morning. She was struck thinking of the beauty of nature and the sun and slowly drifted off to sleep. Elizabeth had barely slept for 20 minutes when she woke up with a jolt. Something had drifted underneath the kayak. She couldn't believe she had fallen asleep. Exhaustion from staying up late last night watching her favorite movie, and the soothing rhythm of the waves had lulled her into a surprise slumber. Elizabeth immediately sat up and noticed she was more than a mile from the ocean shore. She thought a strong current must have pulled her out, her heart pounding. Almost immediately, she felt something dart through her kayak again. It wasn't very bright yet, so she thought her mind was playing tricks on her. But as she turned, she saw the sharp fins slicing through the water. Elizabeth was in full panic. She immediately grabbed the paddle and tried to bring the kayak back to the shores. She then recalled the locals mentioning an area known for shark sightings and realized she had strayed into dangerous waters. In September 1985, 13-year-old Diane and her mother, Lisa, were surfboarding off the coast of New Smyrna Beach in Florida. Their surfboarding exercise had become a daily bonding activity between the mother and daughter since Diane turned 5. Lisa couldn't help but marvel at how beautiful her daughter was as she gave her a rundown of her plans for the day. Diane was starting grade 9 today, and it called for a celebration for the mother-daughter duo. She promised her daughter a pizza dinner when she got back from school. Although her daughter was still young, Lisa could testify that she was an experienced surfer growing up to become an amazing lady. The pair felt at home on their boards, riding the gentle swells. The salty breeze brushed against their cheeks, and laughter filled the air as they shared precious moments. As they glided through the water and traded gossip amidst feats of laughter, in no alternate reality did they see the tragic scene of events that were about to occur. They sat astride on their surfboards when they felt a slight surge from underneath. At first, Lisa thought she was imagining it, but when she looked at her daughter's face, she knew she felt what she had noticed. There was something huge underneath them. Lisa was the first to see it, the fin cutting sharply through the water, announcing its arrival. With a powerful surge, the shark emerged from the depths and lunged at Diane's feet, clamping its sharp teeth onto her foot. She screamed in pain as the shark's forceful pull dragged her underwater. Before she gave birth to Diane, Lisa had never seen herself putting anyone before herself. But everything had changed 15 years ago when she welcomed this perfect human being to the world. In the hospital that day, she had sworn to do everything to keep her daughter safe, and nobody, not even a shark, would come between that promise. Lisa didn't have to think before acting. Her body was moving on pure instincts, driven by motherly love and adrenaline. She immediately dived into the water, after the shark, with a fierce determination that must have shocked the shark. She swiftly reached out and grabbed Diane by the shoulders, pulling her onto her surfboard. With her daughter on her surfboard, they could now decide what happened next. Lisa had never been religious, but at this moment she prayed to whoever was out there to spare her daughter. If the shark attacked again, it could just take only her and let her beautiful daughter get to the shore. Lisa had read in magazines that sharks were usually not violent, especially when not attacked. She desperately hoped the shark would get bored and circle away, but the shark looked as if it wasn't done with them, circling them ominously, unwilling to let go of its prey. With her heart pounding in her chest, Lisa did what any rational human being in that situation would do. She screamed for help. Her voice echoed across the waves, drawing the attention of nearby rescuers patrolling the area. They rushed towards the scene, their boats slicing through the water urgently. Despite the approaching rescuer boats, the shark circled the duo as if casting a spell around them. As the rescuers edged closer to Lisa and Diane, the shark took one last circle around them and darted away into the vast ocean depths. The brave rescuers quickly reached Diane and Lisa, offering a helping hand and guiding them back to the safety of the shore. An ambulance was already waiting on the beach, ready to whisk them to the hospital for immediate medical attention. Diane's foot was bleeding from where the shark had grabbed her. The rescuers applied primary first aid to Diane as they rushed her to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctors informed Lisa that Diane would require surgery to treat the wounds caused by the shark's razor-sharp teeth. The shark had bit out a chunk of muscle and she needed a plasma transfusion. Lisa remained by her daughter's side, providing comfort and support during this traumatic ordeal. Diane underwent the necessary surgery in the hospital, surrounded by caring medical professionals who ensured she received the best care possible. Despite the pain and fear she experienced, Diane's spirit remained strong, buoyed by her mother's presence. Days turned into weeks, and Diane's recovery progressed steadily. Her foot slowly healed, and with the support of physical therapy, she began to regain her strength. Even though she was left with 15 stitches, a scar that would never completely fade, Diane knew she still had her whole life ahead of her. She was lucky to be a survivor, all thanks to her superhero mother. You'll think that the attack would make the mother-daughter duo stay off the ocean, but they were even eager to make up for the lost time from not spending time doing what they loved most, surfing. Throughout her recovery, Diane found solace in the waves, returning to the water with cautious determination. With her mother's guidance and the support of her community, she overcame the lingering fear and anxiety that the attack had left behind. Their bond grew even stronger as they continued to share their love for surfing and the ocean. As the months passed, Diane's story resonated far beyond New Smyrna Beach. Her mother's courage and resilience inspired mothers and everyone. Her tale reminded us of the strength within us when faced with adversity. The mother-daughter duo's bond symbolized the unyielding love that can weather any storm and conquer any challenge. The summer of 1870 came with a disturbing heat wave. Due to the scorching weather, Dave Jansen had moved his family to the Beach Island Resort in New Jersey earlier than expected. The island was their escape every year when summer was in full blow. Dave Jansen was 28, newly married, and just made partner in his law firm. Everything seemed to be up to a perfect start, and Dave couldn't wait for what the future had in store for him. It was 6 p.m. and almost time for Dave and his wife to go downstairs to the dining hall for dinner, when he decided to rush for a quick swim. The heat was stifling, and it seemed as if the air-conditioned rooms were not being much help. A swim was just what he needed. Dave promised his wife he'd be back in less than 30 minutes. It would just be a dip-in and dip-out kind of situation. He rushed out of the house before she could persuade him to stay and use the tub. The tub was nothing like the cool water of the Atlantic. Dave's heart pounded with adrenaline as he raced towards the inviting waters of the Atlantic, seeking relief from the scorching summer heat. The sun had been relentless, and the ocean seemed the perfect escape. The waves crashed gently against the shore, inviting him to plunge into the cool embrace of the sea. With laughter and excitement, he waded into the water. The water was even better than he had imagined. The coolness was a refreshing balm on his skin. He laughed joyfully, savoring the freedom of the moment, completely oblivious to the lurking danger beneath. The ocean was filled with people who probably had the same idea as Dave: to cool off before another hot night. The abundance of prey and the thrashing in the water must have attracted the predator so close to the shore. As Dave waded deeper, the shark sensed an opportunity and lunged toward him, clamping its jaws around his legs. Dave let out a piercing scream, and at first onlookers dismissed Dave's frantic shouts as playful banter. Still, soon they realized the terrifying truth. A shark had caught its prey. Fear and panic spread along the shore as onlookers scrambled to alert the lifeguards. The lifeguards, well-trained and composed, sprang into action without hesitation. With skillful precision, they maneuvered their rescue boats towards Dave, their hearts racing with the situation's urgency. The shark proved to be extremely fierce. This was entirely unlike the animal. Combined with the rare shark attacks, it was completely abnormal for them to swim so close to the shore and attack someone out of the blue. Nothing about this attack was expected, as it proved fiercely tenacious, unwilling to release its grip on Dave's legs. The lifeguards' attempts to pull him to safety were resisted as the predator relentlessly tugged him deeper into the water. Despite the chaos, the lifeguards kept their composure, refusing to back down from the battle for Dave's life. Finally, after an eternity, the lifeguards pulled a bleeding Dave from the water. The sight was horrifying. Dave's left thigh was barely hanging on. Blood streamed from the wound, turning the water crimson. With no time to lose, the lifeguards immediately began applying pressure to the wound to stem the blood flow. It was a race against time to stabilize Dave until emergency services arrived. The team radioed for an ambulance, which raced towards the scene with sirens blaring. As the ambulance arrived, paramedics took over, skillfully tending to Dave's injuries. The bleeding was profuse, and the paramedics worked diligently to stabilize him while providing pain relief. With precision and efficiency, they carefully bandaged his wound, applying a tourniquet to control the bleeding. En route to the hospital, the paramedics monitored Dave's vital signs, ensuring he remained stable. Time seemed to blur as they sped through the streets, every second feeling like an eternity. Meanwhile, news of the incident spread like wildfire, and people across the city held their breath, praying for Dave's survival. At the hospital, a team of skilled surgeons awaited Dave's arrival. They knew that time was of the essence, and they prepared for immediate action. As Dave was rushed into the operating room, the team worked tirelessly to repair the damage inflicted by the shark's bite. Hours passed, and anxiety gripped everyone who awaited news of Dave's condition. Finally, the surgeon emerged, a solemn expression on his face. The operation had succeeded, but the road to recovery would be long and challenging. Dave had lost a significant amount of blood, and while they've tried to salvage what was left of his legs, it'll be a long walk to recovery to determine if he could walk again. Over the following weeks, Dave's friends and family rallied around him, providing unwavering support and encouragement. Becoming whole again would be a long walk, but he refused to give up. With determination and the help of skilled physical therapists, Dave slowly regained his strength and mobility. 24-year-old James Reed couldn't hide his excitement as he strolled around the beach. He would be participating in the annual Inter-Pacific spearfishing competition in New Caledonia. James had gotten to the island a week earlier to get a scope of the landscape. He had spoken with the locals and checked out the expansive water which isolated the island from the rest of the world. For James, safety was paramount during most of his excursions in water. Naturally, while taking a leisure stroll among the locals, he asked about shark sightings in the area. Still, the locals explained that while there were sightings, they were rare in the area they'll be holding the competition. The island's beauty was breathtaking, with its lush green landscapes, crystal clear waters, and golden sandy beaches. Noumea, where the competition was being held, was a picturesque paradise that captivated James from the moment he arrived. While the competition was the next day, James was already brimming with excitement and anticipation. He woke up early that morning feeling nervous and determined. He went through his pre-dive routine meticulously, ensuring that all his gear was in perfect condition, and mentally preparing himself for the challenges ahead. James set out on his diving expedition as the sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the waters so blue it almost looked artificial. James couldn't help but marvel at the vibrant marine life surrounding him, and the captivating coral reefs made his heart swell with wonder. James knew he was very good at what he did. A testament to this was that he could dive without oxygen tasks, which he would be doing today. James had mastered the art of breath holding, a skill that further enhanced his connection with the sea, and seeing that he needed to be extremely swift to win this competition, the oxygen task would only slow him down. However, James's joy turned to terror amid his dive when a massive great white shark suddenly appeared. The creature's powerful jaws clamped around his middle instantly, locking him in its deadly grip. Panic threatened to consume him, but James relied on his years of training to remain composed. He fought back fiercely, attempting to escape the predator's relentless grasp. The undeterred shark kept coming back, inflicting wounds upon James with every attempt. Despite the pain and fear, James remembered his training, kept his composure, and focused on survival. Desperately holding on to the shark's massive body, James experienced a harrowing ride beneath the sea. The creature's violent thrashing attempted to dislodge him. Still, he clung on with a determination from years of training and time spent in the sea. It was a battle of strength and willpower, and James refused to back down. If this was his end, history would say he went down fighting. James's only hope was to dislodge the shark's strong jaws from his arms, and the animal would swim away, hoping it would realize he wasn't what it expected. James pulled what was left of his arm with force out of the shark's mouth. With adrenaline still pumping through his body, he couldn't feel the pain or the length of damage. His sole focus was survival. He needed to swim to the surface if he had any hope of surviving. His prayers were answered as lifesavers from the shore witnessed the terrifying scene unfold. Racing to his rescue, one of the lifesavers quickly divided and dragged him to the surface, quickly pushing him onto their boat, valiantly saving him from the jaws of death. The sight that met the rescuers was shocking. James's right hand and arm were mangled, and his rib cage, lungs, and upper stomach were grievously exposed. It was a gruesome sight, and it was way beyond their experience. Their only option was to apply pressure to stem the bleeding and prevent any of his vital organs from spilling from the gaping wounds. James was rushed to the nearby hospital, where he underwent a grueling 4-hour surgery, where skilled surgeons carefully pieced his skin back together with an astonishing 450 stitches. His road to recovery was shaky. Even the doctors couldn't say if he was in the clear. Word of James's incredible survival spread like wildfire across the island. Even the competition had to be stopped. The tale of a fearless diver facing off against one of the ocean's greatest predators and being alive after such mortal wounds was something everyone found astonishing. After encountering the great white shark, James Reed's life turned out unexpectedly. The physical wounds he endured were nothing compared to the emotional turmoil that followed. Nightmares haunted his sleep. The sight of the ocean brought shivers down his spine. Overwhelmed by fear and doubt, he questioned whether he would ever find the strength to dive again. The support of his loved ones and fellow divers kept him going. Their encouragement and empathy became his guiding light, propelling him forward on the road to recovery. As he painstakingly rebuilt his strength and endured countless hours of rehabilitation, a transformation began to unfold. James discovered newfound resilience within himself as he faced the fear that had threatened to consume him head-on. Slowly but steadily, he embarked on tentative dives, overcoming each hurdle with grit and determination. The ocean, once a source of terror, became his crucible of healing, and with every stroke through the water, he reclaimed his connection with the sea. Through his journey of triumph over adversity, James Reed evolved from a fearless diver into a living testament of courage and resilience, inspiring countless individuals worldwide with his indomitable spirit. The sun was rising on the 22nd of September 1980. The salty sea breeze swept across the golden sands of Ocean Beach near Whangarei on the North Island of New Zealand. 25-year-old Ashley Benson, a seasoned lifeguard passionate about the ocean, stood at the water's edge, her eyes scanning the horizon. It was a beautiful morning, perfect for a training swim. As a lifeguard, Ashley took her responsibilities seriously, always prepared for any situation that might arise in the unpredictable water. She had been part of the lifeguard team at the island for a year now, and it was a role she took proudly. But before Ashley and her fellow lifeguards set out on their training swim, she couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was about to happen. It was almost like a foreboding, but she couldn't tell if it was something good or not. She almost canceled the training swim, but it'll make no sense to cancel training based solely on a hunch. As the group of lifeguards ventured about 100 meters off the shore, the morning sun cast a shimmering path on the glistening waters, and the dolphins' playful splashes in the distance created a joyful soundtrack. However, something shifted in the atmosphere, catching Ashley's attention. Usually carefree and distant, the dolphins began to swim with purpose, drawing nearer to the lifeguards. In a mesmerizing display of unity, the dolphins formed a tight circle around the swimmers, their sleek bodies gracefully gliding through the water. It was as if they deeply understood their roles as guardians, encircling the lifeguards in an unusual and almost protective manner. Ashley felt a sense of connection with these intelligent creatures as they swam closer, their eyes seeming to hold a profound message. As the dolphins moved in their circular formation, Ashley noticed that they were not just acting on instinct, but communicating with each other in a way she had never witnessed before. Their chirps, clicks, and whistles seemed to blend into a harmonious language, a symphony of communication that transcended human comprehension. Time seemed to slow down as Ashley became captivated by this extraordinary display. It was as if the dolphins were sharing ancient wisdom with each other, acknowledging the importance of the mission at hand. Their telepathic connection amplifies their intentions, conveying a shared purpose to safeguard the lifeguards from an unseen threat. Amid this surreal experience, Ashley's awe was accompanied by a tingling sense of anticipation. The lifeguards, too, felt the weight of the dolphins' presence and were attuned to their every move. It was clear that something significant was happening in the ocean's depths, and the lifeguards couldn't help but feel both honored and humbled to be part of this extraordinary moment. The dolphins' unity intensified as they continued their swim, and their synchronized movements took on a profound meaning. They began to slap the water with their fins, creating a rhythmic pulse that resonated with the lifeguards' hearts. Each slap seemed to echo like a beacon, signaling a message to the ocean depths. Ashley's heart pounded as she realized the dolphins' vigilance was directed toward a common enemy, a massive great white shark lurking far from the group. The predator's ominous presence sent a shiver down her spine. Still, the dolphin's unwavering commitment to protection brought a sense of calm amidst the danger. With her eyes fixed on the shark, Ashley felt an unspoken understanding pass between her and the dolphins. An unbreakable bond was forged in that fleeting moment, transcending the barriers of species and language. It was a testament to the intricate tapestry of life and the interwoven connections that bound every living being in the ocean's vastness. Through the harmony of their movements, the dolphins conveyed a powerful message of unity, protection, and shared responsibility for the fragile balance of life. In that extraordinary encounter, Ashley recognized the intricate web of relationships between the ocean's inhabitants and her role as a lifeguard sworn to protect and preserve. The dolphins' resolve remained steadfast as the sun continued its ascent into the sky. They continued their vigilant watch over the lifeguards, creating a safe haven in the churning waters. The bond formed between Ashley and these gentle guardians was etched into her heart, leaving an indelible mark that would forever shape her connection with the ocean and its inhabitants. With a steady hand, Ashley led the swimmers outside the circle of dolphins, watching the sharks' movements. Undeterred by the predator's presence, the dolphins continued their vigilant protection. Thankfully, the situation took a turn for the better when a rescue boat approached the area. As the boat approached, the shark decided to retreat, eventually disappearing into the ocean's depths. The dolphins stayed until the swimmers were safely back on dry land, leaving only when they were sure their mission was complete. The experience left Ashley in awe of the incredible bond between humans and animals. She knew she had witnessed something remarkable that day. This event forever changed her perspective on life and the ocean she loved. From that moment on, she would carry with her a profound respect for the creatures she shared the waters with, understanding that even in the vastness of the sea, connection and protection could be found in the unlikeliest places. Ian Levinson said "I do" to his girlfriend, Betha, of 6 hours ago, and saying he was the happiest man on the planet would be putting it mildly. Ian was pleased for the future that awaited them both, but they couldn't wait to escape for their honeymoon in Seychelles. The honeymoon would be the first time either of them was traveling outside New York, as their work had kept them in state, with dreams of going on vacation being their only goals. But here they were, finally boarding their flight to the tropical paradise that promised an adventure, fun, and relaxation they couldn't wait for. The 15-hour flight left the newlyweds jet-lagged, and they fell into a deep sleep immediately after they arrived at their resort. After hours of sleeping, the newlyweds were ready to explore the majestic property where they'll stay for 2 weeks. The resort was absolutely heavenly. It was just perfect for the lovebirds. Nestled in the tranquil outer islands, the resort offered a charming castaway experience that joyfully filled their hearts. Ian and his wife were stunned by the island's natural beauty. They could spend eternity there. The clear turquoise water stretching out was like something out of a postcard. The beach was adorned with soft, powdery sand, inviting them to bask in the sun and indulge in simple pleasures. Ian and Betha spent the first 2 days of their arrival leisurely exploring the island, discovering hidden coves and secluded spots that felt like their private paradise. The resort offered various activities, and Ian was particularly excited to try snorkeling among the vibrant coral reefs and colorful marine life. Having gone through most of their itineraries for the vacation, they had just 2 days left for the break to end, and snorkeling was the only adventure that was still unchecked. While Ian was ready to explore the underwater wonders, Betha wasn't so optimistic. She had never been a fan of the water, so she promised to go to the beach with Ian, but she'd only stay on the shore and read a book while he went snorkeling. The couple got to the shore and Betha settled, basking in the glorious sunlight. At the same time, Ian donned his snorkeling gear and ventured into the clear turquoise sea. If any of them knew that their serene vacation, which was almost ending, would take such a turn, they would have stayed indoors and enjoyed the rest of their day on the island. Ian swam leisurely, taking it in one at a time. Ian loved the water. His parents had teased him that he learned to swim even before he could walk, and right now, while marveling at the vibrant marine life beneath the surface, he couldn't understand why anyone would not love the ocean. The crystal clear water allowed him to witness a breathtaking kaleidoscope of fish and corals. As Ian glided through the water, he saw the large shadow approach him, but it happened so fast that he didn't have the opportunity to scream. His mind immediately registered the massive predator that emerged from the blue, a formidable tiger shark, its sleek body slicing through the water with deadly precision. Panic coursed through Ian's veins as he tried to swim away, but the shark's swift movement made escape futile. The shark lunged forward instantly, clamping its powerful jaws around Ian's arm. The force of the attack was immense, and with a sickening snap, the shark severed Ian's arm from his body. Ian heard his bones crush underneath the weight of the shark's strong jaws. He almost passed out from the shot of pain that followed. Blood clouded the water as Ian thrashed in agony, but the shark was relentless. Ian felt the shark disappear underneath the water, and he desperately prayed the worst had passed. He was in for a shock when the shark attacked again, targeting Ian's leg and dealing another brutal blow. At the shore, Betha was oblivious to the horror unfolding just yards away. She was focused entirely on the murder crime novel on her lap, but when she turned to pick up her glass of iced tea, she noticed a disturbance in the water and heard faint cries for help. Her heart was pounding with fear. She rushed to the shoreline only to witness someone in a life-or-death struggle with the ferocious predator. Panic seized her, but she knew she had to act quickly. Betha quickly screamed for help, alerting nearby boaters and beachgoers. A group of courageous individuals jumped into action, rushing toward the unfolding tragedy. One of them quickly commandeered a boat and skillfully navigated towards Ian, who was now unconscious and floating lifelessly. With remarkable teamwork, they hauled Ian's limp body onto the boat while a doctor among the group assessed his condition. The sight was harrowing. Bloodied and maimed, Ian was clinging to life by a thread. The doctor immediately initiated first aid, staunching the bleeding and stabilizing his vital signs as they returned to the shore. On the beach, an ambulance was already on its way, summoned by a quick-thinking bystander who had called for emergency medical help. The well-trained and experienced paramedics took over from the beach doctor, continuing life-saving measures as they rushed Ian to the nearest hospital. Despite their valiant efforts, tragedy had struck too swiftly and fiercely. Ian had lost over 70% of his blood and had probably passed out after the second attack. His body could not withstand the vicious attack and the resulting injuries. Ian died before reaching the hospital, leaving behind a trail of devastation and grief. Betha didn't notice her husband was the victim until she saw his beach shorts. She screamed and crumpled to the sand. Her world turned upside down instantly. Betha refused to believe her husband was gone. She rushed to this body. She couldn't believe the sight in front of her. The shark had cleanly bitten off one of the arms. The precision of the cut was like a doctor's scalpel. His left thigh had bloodied gashes, now coated with blood and sand. She couldn't believe that a vacation that had been a means of happiness and love had suddenly turned into something she wished had never happened. They would have just enjoyed their honeymoon in New York, close to their relatives and family. The love and laughter they had shared were now overshadowed by the heart-wrenching loss of her beloved husband. Their dreams of a lifetime together were cruelly shattered, leaving her to grapple with an unimaginable void. The beach vacation, which had started with such hope and joy, became a haunting memory for Betha. She found solace in the support of friends and family, who embraced her sorrowfully.